At the end of the day, a lot of people come and do the work with me because they want to figure out how to be happy. The dilemma with that is that usually what happens is they get some list of things they need to do to be happy, then they don't do those things, then they beat themselves up for not doing them, and then they're even more unhappy than they were before they tried to do all these things to be happy. So instead of all that nonsense, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you exactly how not to be happy. And then you can feel the pain of those things, and then maybe, just maybe, you'll choose to do something different. Okay, so the 5 ways to stay unhappy are: convince yourself that you're a victim, repress all your emotions, don't be grateful, isolate yourself, and think you're better than everyone. Let's go into each one, point by point. Convincing yourself you're a victim. Convincing yourself you're a victim is basically saying, if I am who I want to be and I do what I want to do, then I am going to be oppressed. I can't do it. I'm not allowed to. There's going to be some negative consequence, which basically is convincing yourself that if you are who you want to be in the world, that the world will punish you and reject you. What that basically means is that your mom and dad punished you and rejected you as you were a kid, and you still believe that the world reacts that way. It also means that you're never going to find a world where you being yourself gets rewarded, right? So if I can be an ISIS member and I can find a community that rewards me for that, and I can be an artist and I can find a community that rewards me for that, surely you must be able to be yourself and have a community that rewards you for that. But you'll never find it if you feel like you're a victim. If you feel like you're a victim, what you're basically telling yourself is that I don't have the power to be myself. There's somebody else in control. And that just devastates you, devastates your self-esteem, and it takes away your happiness. Number 2 is repressing your emotions. Here's a simple way to experience how repressing your emotions is going to make you feel crappy. Repress all of your emotions right now. Even more. Repress, make sure not even a little bit of an emotion goes. Oh. Does that feel good? No, it doesn't. I have this great saying. It's joy is the matriarch of a family of emotions, and she only comes into a house where her children are welcome. If we repress who we are, we can't be happy because we're not being ourselves. Also, repressing your emotion creates muscle tension. You have to constrict an emotion with your muscles. Like, try to have no emotion or stop a particular emotion without tightening down your muscles at all. It's impossible. And so you're walking around with this extra tension, this extra weight, and that can't make you happy. Number 3 is being ungrateful. So the thing about gratitude is when you feel grateful for something, you're acknowledging that there's a greater force in the world than you, that it's not all dependent on you. Right? So what we don't typically say is, I'm so grateful that I'm awesome. It's like, oh, I'm grateful for the food. I'm grateful for the people who brought me the food. I'm grateful for this opportunity. All things that are somewhat outside of your control. And inside of that, you see the care of the world, and it doesn't make you all alone having to do everything. It doesn't isolate you. So that's one of the reasons that if you really push away gratitude, and you say, I got to do it all myself, it's going to start constricting you and making you more and more unhappy. The other way that being ungrateful makes you unhappy is it takes away half of the solutions that are available to you. So there's 2 ways to come up with a solution. The first one is, this is what's wrong, how do I fix it? And the second is, this is what's right, how do I grow it? If you're not grateful, you don't get to see what's right, and then you can't grow it, so all you've got are problems. Problems you have to fix and fix and fix, and then you start creating problems because all you know how to do is to fix them, and so you see everything as a problem. Nothing that's good in your world comes out because you're not grateful for anything. So how could it be good if you're not grateful for it? So isolating yourself is a great way to stay unhappy, and there's so many ways that you can do it. You can isolate yourself by not being around people. You can isolate yourself by thinking you're alone when you're around people. You can isolate yourself by always keeping all your relationships at a surface level so you don't actually have any depth in the relationship. You can isolate yourself by thinking that nobody understands you, that thinking you're an outsider. And the question is, like, why does isolating yourself keep you unhappy? It's because it's a human need to thrive. There's the human need to survive that we all know. It's like water and air and food and shelter. But there's a whole bunch of other needs that we have that are required if we're going to thrive, right? If we don't feel safe, we're not going to thrive. If we don't feel community, a sense of connection, we're not going to thrive. And so the answer is, what makes it that if I isolate myself, I am going to be unhappy? The same thing that makes it so that if you don't eat food, you're going to be unhappy, or you don't drink water, you're going to be unhappy. Last way to keep yourself unhappy is to think that you're better than other people. And there's a couple things that this kind of glues together. The first one is that it keeps you isolated, which is what we just talked about. It's a way to keep you separate and alone in the world. So that's one. The other thing, to feel like you're better than other people, you have to judge them. And if you judge them, every single time we have that judgment, we're cutting off another feeling. So you can easily check in anytime and say, oh, I'm judging somebody. What is it that I would have to feel if I couldn't judge them? And you have an emotional experience. So it's also an emotional repression. So the last reason that thinking that you're better than other people keeps you unhappy is it requires you to constantly be defensive. You have to constantly have a defense up to prove that you're better than other people. It closes your heart. So literally, you can just do the experiment right now. Think you're better than somebody, or pick that person that you think you're better than. You know the person, right? And then open your heart and see if you can do both at the same time. Okay, so those are the 5 tricks to staying unhappy. I hope you can really feel how unhappy they make you. Go out and try being unhappy this way. See how it works for you. I guarantee you it'll work. And if you want an experiment to take home, here's an easy one. Take 4 hours one day and try not to feel any emotion. Every emotion you feel, repress it. And here's a trick. There is no moment that you are awake when you're not having an emotion. There's always an emotion happening. At any moment, you have a sensation going through your body that is called an emotion. Whatever that is, for 4 hours, try to stop it. See how you feel at the end of those 4 hours. All right, so I hope this helps you. If you really want to stay unhappy, this should be a great video for you. And if you like this kind of content, feel free to subscribe and like below. And if you have anything you want us to cover, leave us a comment.